So let's time maybe to move on the next item of our agenda.
Yes, let's move onwards. I have the pleasure now of introducing someone that really needs no introduction, and it's a pleasure to welcome him. We will bring to the stage Ahmed Al-Hindawi, our Secretary General, who will lead us through the next session on Scouts for SDGs, mobilizing young people through Scouting's key initiatives. Ahmed, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
High five. High five.
Thank you. We will have fun. We will have fun, right? Good morning. Morning. Good. Well, it's a pleasure to be here this morning and to share with you these important sessions about the SDGs, Scouts for SDGs. So let me check here how many of this room familiar with the SDGs. See, wow, a lot, huh? Are you ready for a quiz? What's goal number 4? I can't hear you. Education. Goal number 13. Climate change, good. Who said the climate change? Yeah, you get a faster track to lunch today. So, goal number 17. Good. You know, and today, in this presentation, yesterday, we have been talking about all these global trends. I know for many of you listening to all of this, you think these are such big trends. AI, SDGs, climate change, all these issues. But how am I going to take it back home, right? These are mega big trends. But how am I going to translate it to things that I can actually work with? Yesterday, one of the speakers said, nobody can do everything, but everybody can do something. So I'm sure that today we're trying to figure out what that thing that we'll take back home. So that's the theme of today. And that's what we're discussing today as well, about one of the major mega trends in the world, the adoption of the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, we have many things in common, but there's one thing we all have in common in all our countries. And do you know that is all of our countries approved and adopted the Sustainable Development Goals. That's incredibly powerful. I was there in 2015 at the UN, and if you would have to tell me that 193 governments would agree on reversing climate change, gender equality for all, ensuring that good access to not only secondary, but also primary and secondary education and quality education, I would think that's kind of a dream. But for me, this resonates in Scouting because we keep talking about creating a better world. And sometimes you get asked, but what is that better world? Define it. You don't need more definitions anymore because the 17 goals almost offer exactly that answer, what that better world should look like. The good news, we all adopted them, these goals. The challenge is, at midpoint for implementing the Sustainable Development Goals, we're still off a track. Out of the 169 targets for the Sustainable Development Goals, only 12% on a track. 50% are stagnating, almost 30% are moving in the opposite direction. But what's the solution there? Is to give up? At the UN, our youth representatives were telling everyone that don't give up. You can't give up. The stake is way too high to fail. And after all, we're at a midpoint. And remember, in any sport, you only win the match in the second half, right? We can do better over the next 8 years. So in this presentation, we're trying to talk about how are we trying to approach this, taking a big commitment and implement it at the national level. 2015, the SDGs were adopted. 2017, we all came together and had a bold decision to say Scouts are not going to stand on the sidelines. We're actually going to make one of the largest commitments through a conference resolutions about the SDGs. In 2018, we have taken that even further. We went back to the UN and told them, okay, here's our Scouts for SDGs. We're making a commitment to make one of the largest youth contributions to the SDGs. Not only the actions, but also the education. Because Scouting is about this duality. You teach, you educate, you build the capacity, but with that, we take action as well. So we try to localize this through Scout for SDGs. And the first steps we have taken, we said, it's so easy to have a new badge. Everybody was asking for a new badge for the SDGs. But the story is far more complicated than just adding one badge. It starts with here, how we can adopt a language about education for sustainable development, how the youth program, that transformative package that we offer to young people, that experience can really focus on sustainable development. Some of these early resources we developed was focusing and really having a meaningful transformation and contribution, not a cosmetic one. And we continued. We followed up a number of things. We tried to speak the language of the word. You know, as someone who have worked in youth development for years, we used to spend a lot of time trying to explain what development is. Now we just say SDGs and everybody understands it. We have the common reference. And once we start talking about our contribution in education and actions to the SDGs, it almost offers a springboard for us to connect with others, connect with partners, connect with donors, and activate that at the national level. It also offers an opportunity for our fantastic youth representatives, many of whom are here, who really advocated on behalf of all of us for bolder actions. You know, one dream I have, that we don't only have youth representatives at the world level or the regional level. In every country, there's important debate. I would urge every National Scout organizations to have teams of youth representatives at the national level. If there's a new youth policy being developed, you need them to do that advocacy on your behalf. And by the way, this is not just, let's send a few youth representatives and that would be it. This is a whole machinery of work, training, coordinating. And we would be the happiest if you reach out to us and tell us, share your experience with you. So we can tell you how you can actually build that capacity at the national level. But with it as well, we have seen a remarkable adoption at the national level. We have seen how much the eagerness to speak this language, that we know what we do. Yesterday we were hearing, Scouting is a transformative experience, but not everyone is able to understand it in a language that they would relate to. This helped us a lot. And you have seen some of these activation in what I called a small, intimate, cozy event in India of 50,000 participants. Only small, huh? But just as remarkable when you see the excitement about these initiatives. We have seen some of the numbers about the adoption for reviewing the youth program. National Scout organizations were interested in seeing. We supported with 56 services when it comes to how to adopt the Scout for SDGs. But the most important thing for me is this, the 67 services to National Scout organizations about how you can reform your youth program. And to everyone in this room, and all National Scout organizations who are following with the feed, if you haven't reviewed your youth program in 5 years, just take a paper and list how many things have changed in the past 5 years, right? How many new trends, how much new urgency. So that question is really pressing to all of us. And with it comes a moment. This guy looks like me, but that's not me, by the way, here. So, in 2019, that was an important moment for us, because we had the World Forum in Non-Formal Education. And that was really a moment for us to reflect about how do we approach these things. And in Scouting, and I would be the first to admit, over the years in Walsam, we like to release things. We have new toolkits to National Scout Organization, new initiatives, let's do this, let's do that. And that was a moment for us to step back and think, how we can make it easier to National Scout Organization to understand what do we offer and how they can collaborate with this. So we took that a step back and we reflected, and we came through an exercise with some of my colleagues, Cynthia and many others here. We developed 4 areas that we realized the youth program is the youth program, is a property of the National Scout Organization. That's where the magic happens. But there would be 4 areas where I call them like kind of a supplementary vitamins to the youth program. It's like these complementary areas where you reinforce the youth program so you will be able to build competencies, knowledge, values, and skills for young people. And we landed in these 4 areas. The good news, we have some of these areas developed, like in peace education and youth engagement, or when you look at the areas for environmental action, for example. But there were 2 more areas for us to develop. And we went in that journey to look at how we can really build on it. When it comes to the peace education, we celebrated a decade of action for Messengers of Peace. We're very proud of the progress we have made there. But we were committed to review that, so it becomes more than just Messengers of Peace. It encompasses dialogue, encompasses values of acceptance and tolerance, and really beef up that work we have in peace building. And we have done the same with the Earth Tribe. In 2020, we decided, okay, it's time to bring the World Scout Environment Program to the next level, and that's where we introduced the Earth Tribe. Going on, you see how much the adoption for these initiatives. We have 83 NSOs who are implementing the peace education, and we have 77 who are taking the Earth Tribe as well. And this is, again, an invitation for many of you to look if you think these areas can be helpful to integrate them. And now we're on mission to build in these new areas. We have these 4 areas that I mentioned earlier, a suite of educational initiatives, and we are on mission now to build in these 2 areas. The life skills are also looking at health and well-being. The great news here that we are not doing that by ourselves. Actually, we're building on the most successful experiences we have seen National Scout organizations. We went on to look at what works. What are some of the successful initiatives? We were, for example, inspired by TSA in the way they organized their educational offering, made it accessible. We're all inspired by some of the work we have seen in India, some of the work we have seen in Indonesia. We're trying to take this and put it back in a way that makes sense. And we have engaged a number of partners with us. Again, there's no need to reinvent the wheel and to think that we are the experts in everything. There's a lot of expertise out there that we can tailor for ourselves. And with that, we delivered 3 billion hours of community service. You delivered. National Scout organizations did that. We feel sometimes our job in Wholesome is to try to tell the story that is more than the sum of its parts. How we are together making really a bigger contribution to truly channel all these activism, volunteering, service hours that we have seen. And today, we're very excited to tell you about that we are bringing all of these initiatives in one place, a one hub that will make it very easy for National Scout organizations to access all these initiatives. And we design these journeys, whether you are kind of a scout, whether you are a scout leader or a National Scout organization. I will deviate here for a second to tell you something. For National Scout organizations, sometimes WOSOM seems like this thing that you need to demystify, right? We see circulars, we see news, so how can I really access WOSOM? And I can tell you in our teams, we were almost obsessed with this question, how we can make WOSOM more accessible, transparent, and democratize the knowledge sharing, how we can really have a full suite of digital offering to NSOs that you'll be able to access everything WOSOM in an easy way. And with that, we landed the 3 key things. If you can take you would like to take a photo of this slide, because this is really your guide to WOSOM. 3 platforms that will allow you to access everything in WOSOM today. 1, everything about institutional, data portal, directory of NSOs, everything related to circulars, events, calendar. You find that in the treehouse, up there. And you find everything related to services, and here's the treehouse that you see it here. All the institutional updates, the census, the compliance, you find it all in one place, and you find it very easy to connect with others as well. With the treehouse also, it offers the communities of practice. The second is services. We have developed really over 13 services today. We have trained over 200 consultants. We have over 700 resources, over 200 e-learning modules available to NSOs, all available in a very accessible way. It's a menu of services, and we are very proud of all the consultants who helped us deliver almost over 800 services to National Scout organization. So the first, treehouse. The second, services. And the third, which is super exciting for us today, is getting all the educational initiatives coming together in an easy way for National Scout organizations. We'll be able to access those. And as I said, we were really inspired for by some of what we saw by National Scout organizations, offering this bank of activities, things that you'll be able to access, that you'll be able to implement and see how they can support the national level. So it's truly a one-stop shop that we hope will be helpful to National Scout organization. And the beauty of it, you don't really need to take it as is. You can take it, adapt it, and see how it can fit. And maybe it doesn't, but that's fine, as long as you are able to find ways. And by the way, this goes for the big National Scout organization or the small ones. You are never too big, kind of, to learn, right? And you are never too small of an organization to try to take some of these best practices. And with it comes some of the additional innovations. We have partnered with some of the most sustainable blockchain technology, the Ethereum, to have a new Scout Pass. And this will be a digital wallet enabling all the badges of Scouts implemented as Scout for SDGs, and that will be powering all of these activities that we have in the Scout for SDGs platform. So really, in a closing for me, the SDGs, this is not only about the story of one organization trying to do a better contribution. It's really about us as an organization, 174 countries, over 57 million Scouts. We want to make a bigger contribution to one of the most defining questions of our lifetime: how to save this planet, how to reverse climate change, how to give opportunity for young people that would enable them to be the best version of themselves. And with that, there's really nothing that will make us happier and awesome than for you to reach out and to tell us how we can help you. We don't have all the expertise. In fact, most of the time we'll be looking to another National Scout organization that we can link you up with them or with a consultant, whether in services, whether in adoption for Scout for SDGs, whether in how to really have a full adoption of these initiatives and to use this infrastructure, the initiatives, the digital hub, and this ability to tell a bigger story. So that's exactly what really excites us today as WOSM. We feel this event, since Rio de Janeiro, we advanced a great deal, and we hope this one will link us up nicely with the new vision and strategy for Scouting. So that's it for me. I just want to say I'm also very excited to welcome a panel to talk about exactly all the work they have been doing in adopting Scout for SDGs. So I thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. And let's put our hands together to welcome the panel as well. Please join me.
Here you go.
Thank you. Okay, so as we promised you, this conversation is not about only megatrends. Now let's take it to the national level. And I'm really excited about this conversation because you will be able to really anchor a lot of these big, bold ideas into reality. So Shana, from Poland, you have your great experience in reviewing the National Youth Program from the 17 to 2021. You are Deputy Chief Commissioner responsible for the youth program. We have Jessica from Costa Rica, who's also the National World Program Coordinator. You have great experience working as well with the Scout for SDGs. And Brother Madu, it's great to see you as well. I was talking about the small event, so 50,000 that you organized in December, but your experience also reviewing the National Youth Program. And let me start with you, Shane, for that experience. Perhaps what I came to learn, that one of the most complicated, intimidating exercises for any National Scout organization is that story of reviewing the youth program. It's a very complicated exercise, but you have went further, tried to integrate it from WOSM, WAGs, their initiatives. I'm just keen to hear from you, how did you do it?
Okay, so let me start that it was a journey. It wasn't easy. We started with global education very long before. So firstly, we took a bit from the WOSM, a bit from the WAGs programs, and we tried to implement it. So we started from World Thinking Days programs of WAGs, so we get familiar with the Millennium Development Goals. We also touch upon the peace education, so we have the Messengers for Peace. Lately, we have the Earth Tribes also. But at this point, our efforts were limited in terms of participants, because it was only a campaign, and in terms of time. So, at one time, we decided we wanted to be part of our regular program, and then comes our renewal of the youth program. We put a lot of stress on having it all around the spices. And when we talk about the social development, we thought it needs to be not only about the teamwork, but also about the community service. So if you want to have the community service, we should do it in this motto that we need to think global and act local. So while we renew our budgets, and we have also the budgets to be done individually, but also done in the patrols, we have this global education objective in all of them, but we put the most stress in those with patrol, and then each was matched with corresponding SDG. So in the end, we have this scheme that each year each scout needs to carry on with the patrol, one project, community service project, and that is in this motion that we are doing something small, but we are in this worldwide pursuit for a better future. So that at that point, it became part of our normal regular program. And the third step we took, it was having on board our leaders. So we done a lot of campaigns like SDG trainings, the F-Tribe podcast, but we also introduced those programs that let do the things in more eco-friendly way, I would say. So like Scouting with Panda, the Youth Wave, and also the greener events. And I would say that the last one is currently on my mind very much, because we are preparing next the World Scout Jamboree. And I'm very proud to say that the sustainability department was one of the first created there. So we are just starting the journey, and we have them already on the board, just keeping the pace with us, and just be sure that we will do this event as sustainable as possible.
Yeah. And let me ask you on the question of taking external expertise, taking the partners that you work with, and you have an excellent story of collaborating with other partners. How do you reconcile that by doing a kind of a very internal process, but at the same time we try to plug partners in?
Yeah, so we mainly work with those from environmental aspects, because it's to the day this most important part, I think, for all this framework. And we work with WWF, and we use their expertise, of course, but also technical help, like with translations, and also the funding. So it was good for us to do it. We also incorporated Young Avengers and Time Turners Challenge.
Maybe that links up nicely with Madhu. If I would ask you here, you made a very bold commitment for first doubling the membership from 5 to 10 million, but at the same time doing one of the fastest review of youth programs. Just walk us through, in a big country like India, with all the national commissioners you have, the various levels of coordination, how do you facilitate this review process for a program that takes all these global trends, the SDGs, but at the same time answers for the development needs of young people at the local level?
Thank you, Brother Ahmad. Most of the times what we see in a large NSO like Bharat Scouts and Guides is that the scouts and young people are on the move and exploring for the new and next opportunity where they can create a positive impact. This is where I suppose I can reflect on the main motivation that gave success for us. The factor is that we started to integrate the initiatives. When we started to integrate various initiatives, it narrowed down on empowering the young people with the opportunities so that they could exercise their leadership skills at various levels. As we talk about Bharat Scouts and Guides, it's quite large, and our hierarchy is at different levels. When we could bring in the young people at different levels of leadership interventions that helped us to connect the young people to give some solutions for the problem what they have within themselves, keeping the international aspect of the movement. And at the same time, the WASM initiatives helped us to broaden the horizons of the young people and expand the understanding they have with international scouting, the local issues and the global issues, and the solution which the young people can be part of it. This helped us to broaden the youth engagement in the NSO.
Can I ask you here, the question, of course, of adopting new initiatives is not only the decision to go for these initiatives, but just the question of adult leaders. And I know the story about engaging adult leaders and get them to really grasp the new changes, to support these changes as well. What's your experience? I know the structure you have is quite difficult sometimes to navigate.
On the other hand, when we talk about the adult leaders, we wanted to implement the strategies and make our adult leaders understand that the DNA of SDGs is already a part of scouting. And whatever we start or whatever we do in scouting, right from the first experimental camp Baden-Powell had, it contributes and reflects to the contribution to sustainable development goals. And with this, we took this bottoms-up approach. While we started to engage the young people at the grassroots level, this helped us and the adult leaders to understand and realize the potential what we have in the young people. We had the country-level workshops where we had 3 days of workshop to integrate and align the youth program with sustainable development goals. We used to get questions, what are the activities we need to do for SDG goal number 1, goal number 2. But when we started to integrate the youth program and other local initiatives to sustainable development goals and connect it with for Scout via SDGs, it was very easy for us to get the approval of the adult leaders and take this forward.
What do you see like some of the quickest reactions you get from the governments, the local authorities, the national community? Like, what do you see as a result of adopting this way of integrating the sustainable development or education for sustainable development into the youth program?
I could see there's a lot of impact or changes what we could find because of this. One of the most important thing is that we put the young people at the center and getting them to reflect. This helped us to put our young people as a part of the regional bodies. This was one of the most important change. And the other thing is the Indian government everywhere promotes sustainable development goal. And while they had to implement these goals in the community and in the public, they wanted some kind of a partner. That is where Scouts came as the best partners with the government to implement sustainable development goals of the local government. And the other thing is that the large events which you are talking about. We had 3 large events in the last decades, which had around 50,000 young people. That is where we had our sustainable development villages, Better World Village, where we could bring in all these initiatives up to the grassroots level, and that went down to the state level. Even when we talk about India, a state level event will have 500 young people, and we have 54 scouting states. And this is how we are able to take these things forward.
Good luck with that. I mean, I always say, you know, when it talks about the number of young people in India, just imagine this number, 807 million under the age of 35. 807 million. So imagine the power. In fact, when we talk about the SDGs, we often talk about the role of India in that sense to do the heavy lifting as well globally to help in achieving that. So it's very, very encouraging to hear about the steps you have taken. But Jessica in Costa Rica, while a very different context, obviously, but what stood out to our teams when we were looking at the work you have been doing is that you have opted for a very systematic way of reviewing the youth program and looking at how to adopt these initiatives. I think I can speak also to many of our colleagues here that they are looking at, okay, this is nice, you have 4 initiatives, but how can I integrate them? How they can really speak to my national reality? You had a very systematic way of doing that review. I'm keen to hear from you about your experience there.
Yeah. In your initial, having a team dedicated to advancing that what we call spatial programs or global programs that help it advance to initiative and throughout the years. It's then definitive activities on national plans and local plans and provide support to each of the scout groups. It's a scout groups interested of to implementing and other programs. The coordinator to support them in each area the group needs. Since 2012, special programs team 16 volunteers. These 16 volunteers have professional volunteers, specific abilities to impacting these programs. The team coordinates Messenger of Peace, School Awards, Air Tribe, and want to work with he or she. We try to reply this for each of the initiatives with volunteer teams who are responsible for promoting them. They have different challenges to workshops and different things to impact the different reality to the country for impact different possibilities that have many communities.
That's as you almost integrated most of these initiatives, which is really great to hear. But what challenges you have seen in adopting them? And let's be also critical here in terms of what do you think we can do better to make sure that the quality of these initiatives, sometimes when we say like, it's one thing to encourage NSOs to adopt a new initiative, but sometimes if we really do a very good job in making very good value proposition for these initiatives, NSOs by themselves will start adopting them. So what do you think some advice you have for WOSM to enhance the quality of these initiatives?
Okay, for me, it's very important to impact the person. The truth is, these programs change the life for the young people and the child, and not only the young people, also the leaders change your life. It's very important to know the real opportunities to impact. The truth is that it's a special moment to working in these communities in different places, like Limon, it's a province that it's very important to save the water. The team group change different programs and the protagonists working in these programs to change and it's better water, learning to the community and the neighbors in other teams.
Absolutely. Logine, let me come back to you and here, can I just, I don't see everyone, but can I ask by raising your hand, how many National Scout organizations here are intending to review their National Youth Program in the next 2 years? We see better. Raise your hand. Okay, in the next 5 years, how many? I expect everyone. Good. So, okay, so you have really like a desperate audience here. So just, you have done it, and you have done it really the hard way. If there would be an advice that you wish, or something you wish you would have learned before starting this in 2017, and something you can share with the audience here in terms of what they should focus on, what are the recipes for success, what that would be?
I would say that it's one thing to have a good offer. Of course, it needs to be good.
Yeah.
But the second thing is to work with adults. This is the change that we need to put into them if we want them to put the change into the troops, really. So I would say focus a lot on working with adults you already have in the scouting. Try to channel their own initiatives, their own ideas. If you can say to others that this is a good practice, someone done it already and we know that it's working, it's easy to introduce it on a national level. So work with your people and not for the people, I would say.
That's good advice, which, again, you mentioned the working with volunteers in terms of getting them in the process. Where are you now in the review of the National Youth Program? Where are you in the process? And what kind of challenges, now that you already started, that you feel you're struggling with?
We started the consultation on the reviewing of the youth program. Right now, in the next week, we'll be having an orientation on GPS, the Guide to Youth Program, so that we can orient all our leaders and the stakeholders involved in this process to understand what is needed to redesign the youth program. And we are looking at a process which is well refined, so that we are looking at the next 12 to 24 months to have a redesigned, renewed youth program.
Yeah, and I want to ask you here, because this is not about like wholesome or like helping, it's also about learning from each other. And Jessica, I would to ask you, who do you look up to? Like who in your neighbors at the National Scout Organization that you reach out to or you would like to reach out to today to tell them we would like to learn more from you?
Okay. We traveled the initiative to the country in NCU interesting. We use WASM initiative and work with their teams to adapt the more contextually in Costa Rica. We keep the learning objectives and identities, but in Costa Rica especially, they design specific activities for the inland groups and other activities for the groups in the Caribbean zone, in fact in the transit. I hope so that these information helps others as the sister and brothers organization to find a better word.
I think it definitely does help, because I think it's a good reminder to all of us that we're all together in this. Sometimes each one of us thinks we're unique about the challenges we face, but the value of these gatherings to remember 174 national organizations that at the essence of it, we're trying to do the same thing. And there's a lot of learnings we can get from each other. I just want to go for one more round and talk about this learning from others, and just whether helping others here or just like seeking that help from others, that we're not trying to reinvent the wheel if others have already innovated in certain areas. Luciana.
Yeah, for us it was amazing experience, because when we started the renewal process, we asked other NSO, we picked some of them. It was Portugal, it was UK, it was Slovenia, Czechia, and Ireland, and they come to us and talk about what they done.
Wonderful.
And after we already implemented our reform, I have some questions from UK. So it's like the round. So yeah, we took something from them, and then after some time they asked me how we manage and what advice we have. So yeah, this is good to learn from others. I would really give this advice to everyone.
Yeah, that's advice. I mean, I think we're received. I mean, looking at really getting the help from anyone you can get. Jessica,
Sorry?
any thoughts about seeking help from others on a?
The truth is, for me, it's very special, these programs, because change the true life. It's very important to know them, to learning, to use different possibilities to impact the countries and the locals, because change the life, change to better world. For me, it's the most important message to these programs. And I think that if many countries working in this, the world is very soon.
Absolutely. And Mary, we're coming to you here. Just yesterday, we heard from one of the speakers that in a formal education system, to change the curriculum, it takes almost 7 years just to attempt to do that. And just, you can imagine in 7 years how many things happen, right? Like a lot of the topics we're dealing with today, from AI, the intensifying climate change, were something else almost 7 years ago. How do you plan in this review process that we don't feel good about ourselves that we reviewed it, but we stay open-minded about the new trends and new changes?
In my opinion, what happens is we have optimizedly used the scout.org, which is the revamped SDG hub now. Bringing all our young people and adult leaders at this platform has helped us to make them understand and realize the changing trends. Not only that, with this, they'll also be able to look at the activities and actions of young people that has impacted the community around. And I think this is something what we would like to use it more effectively and efficiently to make people understand and realize what is happening around the globe.
Absolutely. And I think that's just some of the recipes that we look at. Learning from each other. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Engage your adult leaders as soon as possible and as early as possible in the process. Hear from them. Look at some of these initiatives. And again, what we're trying to offer, some additional help, whether through the GPS or Scoutship, and at the same time getting these initiatives to be of help to plug in. And for me, what Scout for SDGs also help us with is help us to tell a collective story as a movement when we talk about the billions of hours or certain impacts. So I'm really hopeful that through this session and through today, which is the theme of today, that we are the intermediaries between all these big things and actually the local impact. And we have to translate these big trends to digestible things. So I would like very briefly to ask you for a last word, if you have any last message you would like to share, starting with you.
Okay, I would just say, just start small, and then it will follow like a small ball.
These programs change their life for your people, for children. It's important, it's a true change, the real peace. Costa Rica is very common to say, thinking global, but act local, because this is the clave to change a better world.
I always say Pura Vida as well. I think
I would say that let's all work together to create a better world and position Scouting as the preferred movement for sustainable education.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much. Let's give a round of applause for our panelists. Thank you. Thank you very much.